Hello, everyone. Welcome to Weekend Rental, episode 122. We are your gaming and geek culture podcast. As always, my name is Ryan, and I'm joined by Andy.
Hey.
And Biff.
What's up, guys?
As always, if you enjoy our content, head on over to geekade.com, where you're going to find podcasts on video games, music, movies, comics, and so much more. Geekade.com, what's your geek? New episode, another week. So much has happened, and we've probably already forgotten it all. But I thought I'd start the things off with just a quick note tied into kind of a heavy, understandable tone of our last podcast, which happened to be World Affairs. Have either of you kept up with what's been going on social media as far as like Twitter and the retro gaming community?
I'm going to sound really, really sad. I don't have any of that stuff, so no idea.
No. So I just want to touch on this. We don't need to dwell on it. I'm not a fan of quote unquote cancel culture, but I just want, I think, this group and our audience to be a little bit of aware. If you followed like EverDrives and all of that, you're probably aware that I think it's Crix. He's his business is based out of Ukraine. He's a Ukrainian gentleman. If you've ever ordered from him directly, that's where things ship from. You can find his products all over the internet from different sites. He kind of chronicled his journey out of a war zone with his family, only to have his post about a week ago of him and his family arriving safely in Spain to be footnoted and jumped on by his competitor who creates the Terra Onion mods, pointing out the fact that he was basically drumming up pity from a existing war to try and drive people to his business, and that in not so many words, he'd only been able to successfully escape and gain a green card because he had been avoiding international tax laws as a result of operating out of Ukraine. Terra Onion also had Discord conversations that were also then brought to light by other people and put on Twitter. Later apologized for having offended people, where people on Twitter pointed out that maybe the apology shouldn't be towards people as much as it should be towards having said the things to begin with.
Too soon. Way too soon.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to spend a lot of time on it, and we don't need... again, cancel culture is not a thing. What I want our podcast and our listeners to understand is that in everything in life, for the most part, there is choice. Put the money towards the people that seem to act ethically and responsibly, even in a ethical gray area of gaming, right? Emulation is somewhat reasonable, but
called curating.
We're a very small community, and I think the people that are aware of those two factions and devices on the market, put your money where you think it belongs, and support those people who align with your beliefs. And I think this is a perfect case of it's pretty clear. Like it was pretty disgusting, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, especially when like his business has been uprooted at this point now too. So it's not like he's able to really scale up and take advantage of any advance, like visibility he's had on his stuff at this point.
Yeah. And it's, they're both in the retro community. They're both offering premium products that function well. One has been established longer than the other, but they both been around many years. They both employ people. So beyond just the scope of what's currently happening to those each individuals, there's other people involved in those companies. So support the companies that are going to, meet your needs without being. I think the thing that struck me was like, I'm not a fan of competition, dogging on competition in the best of times, and certainly taking a jab when I think the rest of the world outside of this individual deemed it appropriate to do it or inappropriate to do it was just kind of shocking. So there's that.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah.
Not good.
So again, I'm not beating drums. I'm not canceling anybody. I just want people to be aware that happened. And let's move on to something a little more positive, but as disgusting. I watched a movie.
Oh, yeah?
A Jackass movie.
Oh
no. Jackass Forever. Has anybody else watched this yet?
I haven't yet.
Okay. So
is there other ones?
Well, there's a few others. There's like 2 and 3 and 1. So Biff's like, RV, no idea.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
But
is Robin
Andy,
Williams in these?
No, sadly.
Dang it. Okay.
But Andy, you're up to date on Jackassdom, I'm assuming.
I don't know if I've seen the third one, but I have seen the first 2. But
okay. Here's what I'm going to say. It's funny. I laughed a lot. And here's what I'm also going to say is that where everything else in the Jackass world was like, it was kind of inappropriate, right? And there was some nudity and genitalia. I'm going to say between dick, I would say, okay, if we're just talking penises, male penises, this movie is
as
50%.
Opposed to what other ones?
As a percentage of the whole of the film. Penis is 50% of this movie. If you factor in scrotums, I'm going to say 65% of this movie is dick and scrotum. That is an alarming amount of male genitalia for the sake of humor. And I don't know if it's because they just were going for broke or if they ran out of ideas. It was a lot. I saw more dick in that movie than I've seen in the last year. And we're talking to an individual who is a male and has a dick. I don't think I've paid that much attention to my own penis and looked at it as much as I've seen dicks in Jackass Forever in the 90-minute runtime. It's a lot.
That's kind of a crazy turn. I mean, they always had that stuff, but to that extent. Yeah. Yes. Wow. Huh. Do you think it's just because they don't want to get into the things that could have like bigger injuries when you're that old, like more debilitating injuries? So they were more safe.
That's true. Because as you bring that up, like they brought in like a new cast, like the new class to kind of hand it off to. There wasn't a lot of like genital stuff in their part. So you bring up a good point. Like maybe it was just easier to like mutilate your genitalia versus like break a hip, So that could very well be.
Huh.
I will say that they doubled down. Well, I quadrupled down on like one of the worst parts from some of the other Jackass movies, and that is like semen of farm animals. They really went at it in a bit for this movie, and it was the same situation where I couldn't watch. In fact, I had to fast forward. Just I can't do that without throwing up. So that's the thing.
Yeah.
But the opening, so how all the Jackass movies have like an intro, like cinematic sequence. It's like big explosion, like here's the cast, blah, blah, blah. It opens up with a 10+ minute Godzilla attacking the city scene that is just a painted scrotum and wiener with a little cap on it.
Huh.
So right from the get-go, you're beat over the head with a dick. It's a lot. It's a lot of dick.
That's what kind of movies you watch.
Yeah, I still recommend watching this. It's hilarious. When it's hilarious, you just have to get used to the fact that you're going to be looking at penises a lot.
I've never seen. Is this a movie, TV show, or both?
Both.
Considering we're like virtually the same age, I feel sad having to explain this to you. But it started out as TV, turned into movies. Yes,
I've never seen.
I completely understand it though, because if you got any sort of light touch on the gag reflex. It's these movies aren't for you.
And by the time the TV show came out, you lived adjacent to the city that I did, which meant that you didn't have MTV as an option unless you had rich parents who had direct TV at the time, which was like $300 a month. So here's what we're going to do, Biff. We're going to pull out the old projector. Set that screen up in the backyard. You're going to come over next
Family
week.
movie time?
Well, we're going to call it bro movie time because there's nothing weirder than two guys watching a bunch of dicks on a screen in someone's backyard. And we're going to report on that before the next episode.
Oh my gosh.
You might get called in from the street if anybody sees that.
Oh, that's true. I better make sure the angle is not because I don't want to be a registered sex offender.
Are we talking about the penises, the angle, or what are we talking about? Well, the projector.
I think the angle of the penises is important, and also the projector.
And the projector. Roger that.
Yeah. So I will say I was a little shocked. I thought I knew what I was going into, and like, admittedly, I had my kids in the room, and I was like, "You guys are gonna like this. It's gonna be like a bunch of dumb stunts." And then immediately, like, this thing comes on screen. I was like, "Nope." Cover your eyes. I'm like shepherding kids out of the room and like pausing it. And I was like, no, and I thought that'd be the worst of it, but it wasn't. It's like a recurring thing. Every 5 minutes, there's a new one or the same one. What?
Yeah. I don't know. I was always more into the more creative, like stunts that they did. And on top of that, the ones that they were just doing weird shit out in public, you know?
Yeah. And there's some of that here too.
Yeah,
for sure. Just 150% more Peter.
Huh.
Yeah. Speaking of changes to formulas, something happened in Fortnite.
There's a formula recall. Is that what you want to talk about?
50% more wiener?
Yep. So you're going to see a lot more of that in Fortnite. Big changes happening. No, actually, Fortnite's, you know me, I jump in when there's a new season and then I kind of fall off because my son gets pretty excited about it. That's the one game that we play together. And so obviously new Fortnite season came out on Sunday. And so you're getting a new battle pass. So new characters, a lot of just different weapons and all of those things. There wasn't a huge map change, which was kind of surprising. Typically you'll see a real big map adjustment and none of that was happening. So the storyline continues. I can't believe there's even a story to Fortnite, but there is. And one of the biggest changes that I noticed right off the bat is what makes Fortnite no longer exists. Building is completely gone, and it is straight up battling. And so I actually got pretty excited about that, even though
that like completely breaks the foundation of what makes Fortnite.
Right, yeah. It makes it more complicated because
it makes it Apex Legends is what makes it.
But what I'm saying though is the map and building design is still designed for building. And so my son died on the top of a roof and I'm like, how do you even get up there? I don't even know how to get up there. And there is a climbing ability now, a sprinting ability, a sliding ability, all of those things, but they really are focusing on the battling, which is just so interesting. And when you've been playing Fortnite for a long time, you're used to someone shooting at me, build a wall really quick and run away. And so there's many times I'm just pushing the button and this icon pops up like no building, no building, no building. And so I'm wondering if we're going to see kind of those hardcore Fortnite people drop off and be like, well, this isn't what it used to be. I really believe that building is going to come back. It's part of the storyline, but really strange that they took it all away.
My guess is they're using this as like, we're also going to offer a non-building mode as part of the standard like lobby. You know what I mean? we're going to force everyone to be accustomed to it. And then in 2 weeks, we're going to turn it back on for the rest of the season. You know what I mean? Because there's no way they're going the full season, right? Like a season's like what? Like 2 months?
Oh, more than 2 months. I think the last change was November, December.
So they can't keep this the full season or people will just walk. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's super weird. Really, really strange. I like it. I mean, it is very Apex. I do believe that Fortnite plays well for what it is and kind of a perfected model in a way. But yeah, we'll see what comes in the next few days or weeks. But that's really been hitting my TV lately.
I mean, it's got to be almost like an A/B test at some point because they want to see how many people that they get joined in. Like old dude like me, who's like, I don't want to do the building part and the shooting part. I just want to be able to shoot. This is like the first time that I've been like, oh, maybe I'll try Fortnite for a while.
Yeah.
So how many of those people come in? But at the same time, like you said, you can't just put building back in because those people are just gonna be like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Be out.
Yeah, it feels like a live beta for a new game mode.
Yeah. For the first time, I felt like the playing field was leveled where you don't have to be a good builder to succeed, which typically that's how that game runs. You kill a building, you're going to get first place. And this is, you can sit way back and just pick people off. They have this heat sensitive scope where you can, like, the people are white, like an IR scope. And so you can sit way off and just be picking at people and dropping shields. And so that was kind of interesting. Yeah, I'd be curious to see if it's going to stick around and how long it's going to. I'm pretty sure it's going to come back or go back to normal at some point.
Yeah, but it has to. Has to. Right?
It's time for you guys to download it and play a couple matches.
I mean, I still have it installed on stuff. I'm okay.
I'm all right.
I'm actually, I'm kind of thinking about it now because that was basically the only roadblock is the building stuff.
Gotten through without building much. I'll build a wall for protection. That's it. I'm not building these towers. I've done okay. I'm not winning match after match, but I'm definitely like a top 10 every time.
Humble brag.
Yeah, I mean, kind of a big deal.
Yeah. You know what else is kind of a big deal?
I have no idea.
You had it.
I have no idea.
Gran Turismo 7. I thought you were going to segue into it.
Oh, no way, man. No idea. That was not even, that wasn't even close on that.
There's some problems with it, I guess.
Yeah, they kind of royally fucked up that game. It sounds like. And it's weird because that would be a game that I was totally in. I would be, if I had a PS5, I would probably be picking up that game. But the way they make that sound out like a grind in the first place and how awful it is to get cars that you want, especially compared to like Forza Horizon, who just gives you 50 cars like every minute. This seems really bad. And then on top of that, you know, when they go on maintenance mode for 2 days or whatever it was,
yeah, it's
you can't even play single player. You can't even play the game.
Yeah, offline, you can't play a single player game, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, so, you know, everybody was, you know, when the PS4 was out, oh, I just want to be able to play my disc, play my game. And here it is, PlayStation being the ones. No, you can't play your game because it just can't hit our server right now.
Yeah, I'm one of those people that's like kind of guilty of like after the PlayStation 2. Like I know there's been milestone Gran Turismo games, but like they just didn't even like bubble up on my radar. So I understand why this one is like getting so much hate because like, what else are you going to do on the PS5 right now, right? Like this was the flagship game of the first half of this year, theoretically. And this is what they dropped on people. Like that's, it's not good. Like you have so few exclusives, like you have to nail them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, just the whole structure was pretty bad to begin with. It sounds like, as far as getting cars and the money. And I think a lot of it is like tied to pushing you to buy real, in-game currency for these fake cars. And
right.
There was some quote that said like, we want our cars in the game to reflect the actual monetary value of cars in real life. And it's like, oh my gosh,
did you forget what video games are all about?
Yeah, that's disgusting.
Ugh. Yeah, it's a bummer. Like I know a lot of people are like really pumped about that one, and it's kind of the second PlayStation 5 exclusive to fall flat on its face. I know Horizon has its supporters, but
boy, you don't hear about that at all anymore.
Yeah, I was going to say, in theory, on paper, PlayStation 5 had the killer first quarter, right? And I don't know.
It killed them.
Yeah. Killed somebody's bottom line because, shit. I still hear more about like TMNT coming to the collection coming to Switch than I do about Horizon and GTA 7. And like, maybe I'm crazy, but I don't think their whole like home run exclusives model is going to carry PlayStation this generation. It just doesn't seem like it's there.
Yeah. Well, it's just everything's just getting longer in the tooth. Even Horizon being only the second one out.
Yeah.
That model has been in Far Cry. It's been in Assassin's Creed, like all that stuff for forever. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. And we're, you look at things like, hey, Grand Theft Auto 5 Next Gen just dropped. It's like, hey, let's celebrate the 18th time this game's been ported in the last 15 years. Yeah, it's already been
Next Gen at one point.
Yeah, right. I could buy the Next Gen version at this point. That's ridiculous. So, like, great. There's ray tracing and better lighting, but I don't know, man. PlayStation's gonna struggle. Like, if this is how their first-party exclusives handle, and then we know that ultimately they want to port them to PC in a couple years, what is PlayStation offering? Like, I don't even know anymore. Like, I was the biggest fan of 4. 4 is like a top 3 console for me, and I have no interest in a 5. And I hated the Xbox One. But Xbox Game Pass is like, I don't know, like it's... Well, so let's segue into another topic I brought. I got a text from our buddy Danton, friend of the podcast, sent me a link. He knows I've been looking for an Xbox Series X. I bought it immediately. It was up for sale on on Walmart. I ordered it. They have since, that was last week, a few days ago. And then this week they've been back in stock and they had open orders for it. I mean, they're not immediate, right? Like, they're not shipping next day, but they had open orders at least 24 hours this week for the Series X. So that thing is becoming easier to just grab online and get your order in. Xbox Game Pass is like more and more tempting with everything that's available. So, and I always said I wasn't going to do it because like I got the PC thing, right? Like I can do the Game Pass, I got the One and blah, blah, blah. And I like the PC Game Pass stuff, but the reality is like, Xbox Live, the friends, the chat, all that stuff is not as intuitive. If it was as intuitive as it is on the consoles to merge between console and PC, it'd be a different story. It is just a little janky, a little too janky to not say, hey, I'll pay $500 and just have this be super smooth, right?
Right.
Like, sure, a PC could maybe theoretically do these things better graphically, but for the convenience, you just got to do it, And so that's why I kind of pulled the trigger, and I didn't think I would. I didn't think I'd be excited about it, but I am.
You were so set on, I mean, if we played back podcasts from
not even a year
Christmas
ago.
season, you're like, S. Just get an S. That's all you need. You're all good.
Yeah. And then I've been trying to explain to you why I didn't. No, I didn't.
No, I stinking listen, and I buy the S. No,
he's mad.
Let me talk. You've talked for the last 20 minutes.
It's a smear campaign. This is a smear campaign right here, everybody.
You told me to buy an S.
I never said that.
And so you're like, you'll be happy with the S. That's all you need. And I was convinced because I'm easily convinced by you when it comes to video game stuff. I buy stuff because you always send me stuff. And so I bought an S for my son for Christmas.
Which I didn't tell you to do.
You were very specific. You were like, buy this for your son for Christmas. I'm just joking. Smear campaign. You want it? I'm giving it to you. Yeah, so I picked it up. Like I said on the podcast, it's cool. I don't notice a difference. Like, I'm staring at the screen, looking at my son like, I feel like I just bought the same exact thing. And so Mr. Ryan here has been sending me now 2 links, and he's like, pick this up. I'm like, it's $500 for the same exact thing that I have, just has a different letter behind it. I have a hard time pulling the trigger on that. And I typically pull the trigger when Ryan's like, buy this. And I say, okay. I pretty much just let him play with my wallet whenever he wants.
That 2-sided dildo that we put to good use. You clicked on that so fast.
Yeah. Messed up my Google algorithm now.
Messed up more than that. Messed up my digestive tract. That's
my gosh.
So then after Biff put this in the sub, because I saw you put it as a subject. So I was like, I want him to understand, because we'll talk about this in the podcast. I looked up the numbers, right, to kind of give him a baseline. So if you look at processing speed, the Xbox Series X has 12 teraflops of processing power.
Well, is a teraflop? Do we even know what that is? That sounds fake.
It's a girl, and she flops around 12 times.
Her name's Tara.
She's about 8 years old. She's got a lot of energy. So on the Series S, she's only got 4 teraflops. So it's 1/4, which that isn't all that there's to be said, right? But when you look at true gaming resolution, and the Xbox Series X is the only one to have hit this in the Xbox line, it does a true 4K, right? The Series S does 1440p. It will upscale to 4K. One notable feature that you're missing, though, is that optical drive. So you're not getting ultra HD Blu-ray movies in 4K. So if we then say, okay, well, there's that.
Let's go back. Ask me the last time I watched a Blu-ray.
RV is available in 4K HD.
You don't
DVD.
even own a Blu-ray.
All right.
I don't own one Blu-ray.
He's got a double-ended dildo. It doesn't have a Blu-ray. It's just amazing, folks. So then the next screenshot I sent him was the Xbox Series S versus the Xbox One. So if we look at processors, it's got the Series S has an 8X core, 3.6 gigahertz custom CPU. That's good. Does a lot. The Xbox One X has an 8X core, 2.3 gigahertz custom CPU. But then we get to graphics. Series S only has 4 teraflops. The Xbox One X, so this is best of last gen, has 6 teraflops. Memory, it's only got 10 gigabytes of DDR6 on the Series S, where the Xbox One has 12 gigabytes of DDR5. And then again, the optical drive is the main difference. So essentially you're getting a better processor with lesser hardware specs minus the drive. So I kind of equated it, and I sent this to Biff, was like, essentially, in theory, your current gen console is less powerful than the best of last gen's console, which there's some give and take to that, but
right.
It explains why you're not seeing this like slap me over the head improvement. The other reason you're not seeing that is because, sadly, we're 2 years into a console cycle and nobody has put full effort into a next-gen exclusive version of a game yet, which you can normally we'd say a year, right? Like 9 months at least. Then you'd get like, we should have had the killer app last November. Neither console has provided it between the 5 or the series. Nobody's done it because nobody's wanted to commit because they realize you don't throw all your chips in that basket when 80% of your player base is still playing on your previous version of hardware. I mean, how do you justify the development cost,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've had the X for almost a year now, I think. And really, I mean, the only thing that's come close to actually looking like, okay, this is a new thing. This is on a new level was that Matrix demo.
Sure.
And that's basically a tech demo.
I've heard Horizon 5 is pretty close too, right? Like that's kind of the jaw dropper.
It's pretty good, but I'm sure that's pretty good on the old.
Sure.
On the S too, but yeah, I don't know.
Then on top of that, if you're getting the X, then you got to make sure that you have a TV that is going to
4K ready, HDR, yeah.
Well, yeah, and present the Series X in a way that you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I have that TV. I mean, I have a 4K TV, but that doesn't mean it's like premium to,
sure.
So to me am I going to notice a difference? Is it going to be that big a deal for me?
I think if your TV is 4K HDR ready and you bought an X, I think you would notice a jump slightly now. I think in a year, you're going to be like, okay, yeah. Like when I'm theorizing in a year from now, you're going to get that first game that's like, holy shit, this would function like 10 frames a second on the Series S. You know what I mean? So
I mean, at some point they have to drop it, right?
They do.
They're going to probably come up with either a new one or just commit wholly to the X.
Yeah.
I just feel like they have to at some point be like, this is not an S game anymore.
They'll transition to like the SE, which is like upscaled. S goes away. No longer compatible. I think you should buy it, man. Like, I think
$500 for something that I already have in a way. Yes, it's not exactly the same, but to throw $500 at another Xbox.
But I've been to gaming conventions with you where you spend $200 on a 30-year-old Nintendo game that you just want as wall candy. I'm talking about $500 for your daily driver. Like, this to me, like, of all people, knowing you and knowing your purchase history, you are the guy that should be like, I got 3 of them already, bro. Like, what do you? I got them in every room, every TV. Every TV runs off that. Like, it's so funny that you're putting your foot down on this. You're like, no, I have the shittier version and I'm sticking with it. Cause you're like one upper, man. You're like, no, you got that? That's nice. Mine comes like shrink wrapped in the original box. Not even a crease in the manual. I think somebody maybe farted on it once, but I brushed it away. It went like this. It flew away from the thing. And on this one, you're just like, nah, I don't need it. It just
actually one thing that does come to mind, and maybe this is subconsciously that I do it. I don't think I do this, but Famicom. You bought a sweet Famicom.
Yeah, one upper, 100%.
I bought it in a box, and you were like, you were legitimately angry at this.
Well,
like, what are you doing?
Do this? I tried to get you to buy one for $30, a loose Famicom, and you're like, nah, I don't want that. And then at the end of the show, you're like, yeah, I went back. I bought the one sealed in the box, 120. I'm like, dude, you gotta one up every time, don't you? And you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about, but you do know what I'm talking about.
I just glanced over and I was like,
Andy sees it.
I kind of remember.
He knows what I'm talking about.
That was pretty good. Yeah.
And then Biff plays all oblivious. Like, I have no idea. What are you talking about? One upping. I don't do these things.
Don't.
It's good stuff. I think you need it. I think you need to get out of your like weird denial hole that you're in and just buy the thing you need for yourself. Like I said, your kid has a Series S. You're a man. Get a Series X.
I identify as a man. That is correct.
And I suggest you get the Series X to lock that decision in and keep it. Otherwise, I'm changing your pronouns to meh, and I don't know.
So, okay. Now, since we're on the subject, now the next step, how do I convince my wife that I need she's not going to understand this. So if I go to her and say, listen,
you act like your wife's questioning you. She's not questioning you.
No, but I told her I do talk about these things. Not that she really cares, but I was like, yeah, Ryan's really wanting me to pick this up.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking at it. She's like, you don't need it. You already have one. And so in her mind, they're the same thing. So how do I convince my wife that I need this? What's my line?
Here's what you do. You don't even need a line. You just buy it. And then you're going to come into bed once you've gotten box in hand. You're going to throw that Xbox Series X on the bed, and then you're just going to throw your nutsack right on top of it and just look her dead in the eye and say, Daddy like. Daddy gets what Daddy like. And she'll understand.
Oh, man. It's go time.
And then you're going to have 12 teraflops of a hard-on to convince her that this beats out the 4 teraflops you had before.
You're getting 12 teraflops tonight. Oh, my gosh. Oh, man. That's
I think
spicy meatball.
You're part of this club, though, where we have enough of this crap in our basement that you can buy this thing, put it in there, and she's not going to notice ever.
That's true. But my basement,
if she does, within months.
Yeah, it's been getting less and less and less. So
yeah,
I have more stuff in boxes, and I don't even look like a gamer right now.
Yeah,
I just look like a
Yeah.
Neither does the Xbox, though, so you're good on that. It's
exactly.
It's just a networking device at that point.
Yep. You just set it next to the entertainment center and convince her that it's that Xbox fridge that they've been selling, and it's not actually a new console. You're like, no, it was $90. It keeps my sodas cold. My LaCroix.
It's an air
crisp.
freshener.
Yes.
Gosh.
Yeah.
It's the new 4K air freshener.
You just got to go for it. It's going to work out. Trust me. She's not going to care. It's fine.
That is, I would say that is the benefit of collecting and collecting heavy, where something new in the collection nobody has, and I like, okay,
yeah,
you look like you've always had that. No big deal.
It's funny you talk about, like, I've been getting less and less because, like, I pulled a bunch of stuff out, in the last few months too, and like I was out. So it's been like unseasonably warm around our area. I think we can all agree. So like it was nice and dry last weekend. So I got my garage all cleaned out, all the mud, all the snow, all the crap. And then I set up the old garage arcade, and we hung out there and played games and played my arcade 1-ups. And then I looked up on my shelf, and it was like all the shit I pulled out of my game room like a year ago or 9 months ago now. It's still up in tow. It's the stuff I haven't sold, and it's sitting up there. And I was like, yeah, this is kind of great. Like, I forgot I had any of that stuff, and I missed none of it. Like, let's just keep going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I mean, I love all the games. I love all the history. I just, having it on the walls of my basement seems increasingly stupid.
Yeah.
It's just me.
Speaking of stupid, can I share something with you guys?
That's what we're here for.
I feel like it's either Andy and I in a battle for our lives in some type of trivia,
mm-hmm.
or it's Ryan and I battling it out, and I never get to ask the questions.
Mm-hmm.
At one point we said that I should do a trivia, but I was reading an article, and it's one of those articles that why did I read this? You know, you complete how many scrolls, and you're like, why did I even read this? But I wanted to ask you guys, video game movies. We've talked about them before, and there's some good ones. There's some bad ones. But there's a list that came out of the top 10 grossing video game movies of all time.
Sure.
And so I wanted to see if you guys could get the top 5.
Well, Sonic the Hedgehog's number 1.
You say Sonic the Hedgehog is number 1? You just jumped right into it.
Yeah.
Doesn't crack the top 5.
No, it's number 1.
I see what you did. And I just gave one away. Dang it. No, so that didn't crack the top 5. Sonic did not.
I'm gonna say Tomb Raider.
Did not crap the top 5. So Tomb Raider. So you're talking recent Tomb Raider or Angelina?
15 years ago. That's the most recent.
The Angelina Jolie one.
That's not even on the list.
Prince of Persia.
So Tomb Raider.
Ooh.
Tomb Raider 2018 is number 10 on the list.
Okay.
Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time 2010. Right? That's what you're thinking of.
Yeah, there's only one.
Okay, good. Well, that's number 6. So you have not cracked the top 5 yet.
There's not even any good movies that I can think of that would top. Like, I guess the original Mario Brothers was in the top 5.
Nope.
No,
There is nothing retro on this.
I don't even know then, because
Angry Birds.
I suppose the first Resident Evil movie.
The Angry Birds movie 2016.
Fuck Angry Birds.
Number 4.
What's Resident Evil? Resident Evil.
Resident Evil.
Any of them. Doesn't
Any
all
of them. Let me double check here. Number 8 is a Resident Evil movie.
So you mean to tell me that the stupid, shitty Angry Birds movie did better than the Hedgehog? Sonic the Hedgehog was a great movie.
Okay, Sonic the Hedgehog, number 7, and maybe so we're just gonna go off of. Should we go off of worldwide numbers or domestic?
You're running the
international.
show.
What would you like? We're gonna go worldwide. So worldwide, number 7, Sonic the Hedgehog, 2020 was $319,715,683.
Oh, I know one. If we're talking worldwide, Warcraft.
Fuck that.
2016 ranked number 1.
Yeah,
in
that.
The top 10.
That's it's like broke ass Lord of the Rings for stupid people.
It's like the number 1 grossing movie of all time in China or something like that. It's crazy.
Terrible.
$439,048,914. That was number 1. So
wow.
Andy's got number 1 and number 4.
What about Final Fantasy, whatever, something?
Nope, not even on the list.
What about Biff Sucks Ass?
That is on the list. Okay, so number two on this list, I guess we're going backwards here. 2019, Ryan talks about this movie often. Gotta catch them all. Just gotta catch them all.
I forgot the Pokemans. I'm sorry. Detective Pikachu, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yes, Pokemon. Detective Pikachu. 433,477,000. So that was number 2. Number 3, 2018.
And it's not Sonic.
Wayne The Rock Johnson.
Rampage
2018.
Shut up! Why?
Yes. Number 3, 428 million.
I've still never seen it.
Okay, so number 1, Warcraft, Pokemon, Detective Pikachu, Rampage, the Angry Birds movie. Number 5 was released in 2022. I don't even know how it made this list, but
is that Sonic 2 then? I mean, that's not even out yet, so that can't be. What came out?
Sony Pictures.
Spider-Man? Guardians of the Galaxy?
You're getting close.
Ghostbusters?
You said Spider-Man. That's get him warmer. Time to slip on your toms.
Marvel? No, I'm getting confused. I'm thinking of video games, not movies.
Tom Holland.
Oh, Uncharted.
Number 5, 2022. So far, 337 million.
And 5% on Metacritic. Good job, Tom Holland.
And then it's followed with Prince of Persia, Sonic the Hedgehog, Resident Evil, The Final Chapter 2016, Resident Evil Afterlife 2010, and the last one, Tomb Raider 2018. Very interesting list because
those are all terrible
you guys
movies.
know
for the
me.
most part.
I have never seen any of these except for the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. So
Sonic the Hedgehog is the best video game movie. I'd say
think it's done
Detective
well.
Pikachu is close.
Mortal Kombat's really good. I really like that first Mortal Kombat.
Sure.
I knew that was going to come up at some point.
That was just so long ago though. There's no way it would gross. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
In comparison, Sonic 2 is going to set records.
Well, yeah, it's got Knuckles in it.
I think we're going to continue to see Uncharted move up on the list just because anything with Tom Holland right now is kind of a big deal.
No, he's a terrible actor.
You tell that to every 12-year-old girl that screams every time he shows up on the TV. And I have one of them.
Girl, Tom Holland sucks.
Yeah.
So, like, he hated making that movie, apparently. And so now that it's making that much money, I wonder how much, like, do they be like, he's just going to make $1 billion making a second one?
Mark Wahlberg's like, hey, Tom Holland, how's your mother? Let's make it 2. Yeah, that movie has been just destroyed, it seems like. So, not so natural, but kind of tied in segue. I also had a quiz for you guys this episode.
Yes.
Surprise double quiz, everybody.
Wow.
Listeners, rejoice.
I don't know what that was. It was kind of a cat and a horn, and it was a thing. I don't think that's how it's supposed to sound, but I tried.
The cat air horn.
Cat air horn.
This show is so cheap, we don't have our own sound effects anymore, or we never did.
We had a soundboard for a little bit, but it didn't last. We should bring it back. Hashtag bring back the soundboard.
Yeah. If it starts to trend, then we'll do it.
Yeah.
So
I was thinking I need
social
to
media machines.
Create an old timey like radio announcer robot voice thing for trivias, but that's for another time.
Well, you did for movie time.
My Blue Yeti, my Blue Yeti software was not detecting my mouse today or my mic today, so I was like, well, there's that. So, quiz for you guys. We're gonna do first to 3. You're each gonna get a guess. We'll start with Biff because I think he has the least chances of getting this first. We're gonna the first to name.
Just throw me under the bus.
The first to name 3, back and forth. You'll each get a turn of the games that are the best video games of all time according to Metacritic.
Oh gosh!
According to Metacritic. So, Biff, your first pick.
Minecraft.
That is incorrect for this list, sir. That is not.
Three lists that we've always done. It's been top 5.
Yeah, this is Metacritic though. Metacritic's weird. Andy.
Yeah.
Ocarina of Time.
Oh yes, that is number 1 on this list at a 99. Even though it appears on the worst console of all time. 1 point for Andy. Biff.
Red Dead Redemption 2.
That is on this list. And it got a Metacritic score of 97.
Yeah.
1-1. Andy.
Well, with the crazy reviews that came out, I'm guessing Elden Ring is maybe up there.
Ooh, that's a good guess. It is not.
Okay.
Not on this list.
Metacritic, Zelda Breath of the Wild.
2 points. 2 points for Biff. So Breath of the Wild.
Andrew, I'm killing you.
At a 97 also. Andy. Think of those key franchises.
I've looked at this list a long time ago, and I'm trying to remember what was on there.
Think of the simplest minded gamers out there. What would you pick? This is for the masses.
Is this one of those deals where it's like Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2?
Oh, Oh, you just hit it with number 2 on the list. 98. So it's 2-2.
That's amazing.
Is it the Game Boy one though?
No, this is well, it doesn't
regular?
say. It just says Tonic Pro Skater 2, but yes. The Dreamcast edition holds a 97. So it is the PlayStation version that holds a 98. Yes. Biff.
Shoot.
You need 3.
I think I'm going a little complicated.
Okay.
Final Fantasy 7.
Oh no, that one has fallen from grace. That is not.
Is that the right number? Right.
7
Roman
was the
numeral?
one that everybody liked. Yeah.
Dang it.
So, Andy, can you clinch it?
He can clench, believe me.
Trying to pick a GTA. It's got to be one of them.
Or multiple.
Could be multiple.
There's a lot of those. Or none.
I feel like when 4 came out, everybody gave that like perfect 10s.
I hate to admit it, but you did just get your third hit. 4 got a
What?
98. And I will argue that 4 is the worst 3D Grand Theft Auto game. I'm not going to end it, though. Biff, you have a chance to go to a tiebreaker in the bonus round. Can you hit
There
a
hasn't
third?
there hasn't been a Mario game that we talked about. Switch is hot. I'm going to say Odyssey. No?
Comes in with the last gasp. 97. It's on the list.
Ooh.
So, lightning round. Well, now we won't do lightning round. I'll go to Andy. If Andy gets one, then we'll continue on.
Okay, well, I'll stay with Mario.
Okay.
Galaxy 2.
97 on the
No
list.
way. Really?
Yep.
That sucks.
It's a great game. Biff, if you can get one, we'll keep it going.
How many are on this list?
I think just like, how many do we got? Hold on.
Did you say which one was number 1 to... Scrolling. This is in my favor.
17 games on this list. I
Did you
did
say
touch on who had
GTA?
number 1, and that was Ocarina of Time. And then 2 was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. And 3
That's
was
short-term
Grand
memory.
Theft Auto 4. Grand Theft Auto? Grand Theft Auto.
Potato.
Potato. And Andy just tied it up with Super Mario
man.
Galaxy 2.
What about GTA 5? Nobody... I'm going to go with that
97
Ooh.
on the
Yes.
list. Double overtime.
How far does Metacritic go back? Does it go all the way back to like NES days?
They do go retro, but Metacritic focuses mostly on the 3D era of the last 20 years.
It just helps
for
me.
greatest scores. Andy?
How about Galaxy 1?
97. Super Mario
This is
Galaxy 1.
This is rigged.
Now think about it. It's the Wii. It's a Mario. They're both Mario games in the Wii. One of the greatest selling consoles of all time. Makes sense.
I'm running out of games here.
There's one on here that blows my mind. I'll share with you guys after we're done.
Say Smash Bros. Ultimate.
And with that, he loses.
No.
He loses. Congrats, Andy. So, according to Metacritic, on this list, number 1, Ocarina of Time. 2, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. 3, Grand Theft Auto 4. 4, surprising, but can't argue, Soul Calibur, 98.
Oh.
Galaxy 1, then Galaxy 2. Red Dead Redemption 2. Grand Theft Auto 5. Out of nowhere, Disco Elysium, the final cut, got a 97. Then it's Breath of the Wild, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3, Perfect Dark. Can't argue with this one. Metroid Prime, Grand Theft Auto 3,
Shoot,
Mario Odyssey, Combat Evolved, Halo Combat Evolved, and then also can't argue with this one, but it's surprising. NFL 2K1.
Huh.
Ash was not on there.
No.
At all.
But you got to think what Metacritic plays up to. Metacritic is like people going out and voting, editors going out and vote. Like, you know, it's the best of the general population, right? There's not a lot of fringe stuff other than Disco Elysium for some reason, which I don't understand. But yeah, I thought it was kind of fun. It surprised me.
Yeah, I suck.
No, you did really well, actually.
Hey, if we could get, yeah, if we could go back to 90s trivia,
bring it back.
I will slay that.
Yeah.
I could have sat here all day and never came up with Soul Calibur, which is...
No, I would have never thought of that.
Which is funny because, like, I still play that game. I'm like, holy shit, this looks amazing. Like, it's just as mind blowing almost now as it was when I was like a junior in high school.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
Yeah.
How did they future proof it that well?
It's so good. They over designed the shit out of it. That's for sure.
Mm.
It's been a long time since I've played Soul Calibur. I don't remember it well.
It's a lot of fun. Speaking of something I don't remember well, because it hurts my head, but I liked it. This game has been out for a while, but it was in that Ukraine bundle on itch.io. Started playing Baba Is You.
Oh, that's in that?
Oh my gosh, is that good? And weird and hard. So, like, it's a puzzle, like, stage by stage game, and it's got rules written into it, right? Like, it's basically a visualization of coding to some extent. So, like, you get dropped into the world and you're this sheep named Baba, and then there's, like, words on the screen that you can push around, and it'll be like, Baba is you. You're Baba. You're the sheep. And then it's like, flag is win. So you know you need to get to the flag. But then it's like, the first level, for example, those are the two rules. And the third rule is wall is stop. And you're boxed into a wall, right? So then you have to figure out, like, what are you going to do here, right? To get out of this thing. And then you do what you need to do. You just, like, rearrange because the phrases are all broken into 3 interchangeable parts, right? Obviously, if you move Baba, like if you removed you from Baba is, it ends. You lost because you're nothing, right? But like if you can rearrange it to say like Baba is flag, well, flag is win. So you are win. You beat the level. You go on to the next thing. And it just gets like increasingly weird like that, where you've got levels that are like covered in lava, and it'll be like rock is move, and then lava is death, and you have to like rearrange the words to like make it gets super. I'm explaining it poorly, but I don't know that you can explain it well, and it gets really complicated very fast, and it's awesome. Like it's such a.
This sounds immensely confusing.
It's such a satisfying game though when you hit like some of those really trippy ones. Like there was one, I can't remember how far in, like it's early on, where I had to like turn myself into the wall, and then you realize you're moving the whole map. But as long as you move the map to touch the flag, you win because you're now the wall, right? Like it's just weird. Really cool game. It's on everything. So if you have like passing interest in puzzles and like trippy games, I think it's on like Switch, all the consoles, PC. Yeah, I'm glad I grabbed that bundle because that's a game I've been wanting anyway, and for the price, of course.
Yeah, that's one I've been definitely after too. I just assumed at some point it would have made its way to Game Pass, but
right,
or in one of those free deals on Epic or something like that. But
yeah, yes,
yeah, that game seems really cool.
It is really cool. And actually, speaking of Game Pass, I forgot I'd even played this game, but Biff and I have been working through Generation Zero, and we were going to play one night. And then he's like, sorry, we're not as good of friends as you think. I have other things that are better and more important to do, so I can't play with you. And then after
saving lives.
Yeah, after I got done crying, I dusted myself off, and I was like, well, I already have my Xbox on, and I'm sitting here with my pants off, so I might as well play a game. And then I decided to None of this is true, except that like he got busy and we weren't going to jump into the game, which is fine. And I wasn't upset about it. But I was well, but I'm already here and Guardians of the Galaxy is on here. So it worked out as like a happy like circumstance that I got to boot that game up. And that's a really good game. I mean, the gameplay is kind of boring, not really well thought out and repetitive, but the story, the visuals and the voice acting is all super good. If you're a fan of like the Guardians movies or the Marvel movies, or you just really like a good over-the-shoulder third-person action game that's just kind of like a straight narrative, that's a good time. Play that game. Like it's great.
Yeah, I probably got about an hour in and I haven't gotten back to it, but yeah, that opening bit where you're like in the teenage version of himself in his room.
In the room. That's super cool.
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, the mom's a little uncanny valley. Like I didn't like her facial expressions, but yeah. It's like, and it's funny because like the gameplay kind of reminds me of Dragon Quest Inquisition or Dragon Age Inquisition, where it's like, oh, we're gonna do this over the shoulder third party game, but also there's tactical elements, and it's like, yeah, these all work. None of them are fun to execute, but like it's serviceable. So like I can't be that mad at it. So I basically like right after getting into it a little bit, I threw into easy mode. I'm like, no, I'm just here for the story. Like, yeah, and that's more than enjoyable. So
that's kind of what I was worried about. Like if the battles really ramp up,
right,
and you're just spending your time just firing off different actions and like which characters mesh well with the other ones. That's something I'm not all that interested in doing. But.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, because none of them seem that significant from early on. It's just kind of like, Plus, also, I hate the, I'm not, okay, so, and this is probably on me for being a person who doesn't play like Mass Effects and things like that, but like when there's a cutscene, I am accustomed to just setting my controller down and not paying attention. So like early on, there's like choices you have to make. And like I got to the the in-between section between the first level and the second level. And it's like, oh, do you hide like all these weapons upgrades for your ship, or do you hide this like space llama? And I'm not paying attention and I completely miss it. And it's like, you hid none. I'm like, well, fuck. I'm like, well, let me reload. I'll go back to the last save point. And then it auto saved and completely screwed me. So I'm like, well, I guess none is what I'm going forward with, but
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
It probably doesn't matter in the long run though.
That's kind of what I figured, right? Like the narrative's not going to alter that much. So yeah. Highly recommend checking it out. Yeah. If you have Game Pass, do it. I like those movies anyway. And the voice acting and all of that, and the character interaction is funny and good, and visuals are really nice. And with xCloud, it's like I didn't even have to install it. I just jumped right in and totally fine.
I can't remember what game I just downloaded yesterday on Game Pass. It came across as a Diablo type game with robots, and I going through the list seeing if I can't find it, but I just watched the demo and I was like kind of Diablo-esque, although no game that I've ever played that claims to be like Diablo plays well. But this is one that looked pretty interesting, where you craft a base and then your base gets rushed and then you're fighting all like hordes of enemies at once, and then if you clear a stage. So kind of Diablo, kind of like
base building.
I don't know, what is defense? It? Gen Z stuff. Yeah. So I wish I could find the stupid name of it, but it'll come to me at some point.
I did download Tunic. I haven't gotten into it, but that game looks pretty cool.
Been on my list too. I heard at first everybody was like talking, it's a Zelda clone, and then now this week after people have been playing it, I heard it's like actually it's a lot closer to Fez, but it looks like Zelda, So.
Oh, I love that's good to hear because I love Fez.
Yeah, right.
That was
if you're gonna pick two games to ape, like those have both been critically, like Zelda games and Fez for sure. Yeah, that's on my short list too. I actually wanted to jump into that with my son because I figured he'd get a kick out of it.
Yeah, we just rolled past hour 110 on the Stardew Valley farm.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
So,
man.
but we're definitely, I think, at least I'm getting toward the end where like I don't really have much for goals, and it's like, what am I doing? What should I work on? So I think we're seeing the end of the tunnel on that one, but we'll see.
What's the next game then?
Oh, I don't know. There was a game that recently came out. It's called Core Keeper. That's on Steam. It's an early access game, but it's kind of like more of a digging style game where you're stuck in mines and stuff like that. So it's more like probably like a Terraria, but still like that isometric layout.
Sure.
So that might be. She talked about starting over and doing the opposite storyline in Stardew, and I'm going to check out on that. That's not something I want to do. So, I
mean, after 100 and some hours, I could see that.
I think I know what the game's about.
Yeah. Hearing the alternate storyline isn't going to change what you're doing throughout the whole thing. That's for sure.
Yep.
You've been playing Cruise and Blast too?
Yeah. So I bought this probably just like you at Black Friday, let it sit. And then this last weekend, I'm like, got a few few hours or whatever for the kids to play. Pop that in. And yeah, that's like the perfect game for a family. Cause like even my 2-year-old just has to press the button down and he'll make it to the end.
Level.
Right. Yep. And it's pretty generous even with that, but you just to see like dinosaurs and cool stuff and tornadoes and a whole bunch of stuff that goes crazy on the track. So, yeah, and it's got a lot of shortcuts like those old Rush games and cruising games had. And It's not incredibly deep, I would say, but
kind of to be expected, I suppose.
Yeah, for a game that you're going to play maybe 5 hours or something and, have a whole range of kids involved. It's really good for that.
Are there sprite-based girls in bikinis at the end of each level?
No, I think they got rid of those.
No.
It's a bummer.
It's the best part.
Yeah. The song is pretty good. I don't know if it's better than the original, but.
Yeah. People kind of forget these days, like what a phenomenon Cruisin' World and Cruisin' USA were in the arcade, and like what that meant for those to hit 64. Even though the 64 versions were butt ugly. It was still like, I got the cruising games, because like what else did you have on 64, right? So
yeah. Well, and that was like one of the few games that you knew that you could have. You felt like you won something because if you won a race, then you could play the next race.
Yeah.
Where I think that the most common person could probably win that original race if they were really trying. So they were actually, it felt like you were winning, but actually they're just giving. I mean, that's the standard amount of time on that machine, probably.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like that was the strategy, right? It was like, you'd always play that first easy race because you knew you'd get the W. Then you'd pick like something else you could try and master, but it never quite worked out. Like if you got to the third race, like you were really on something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the last great arcade racer, except, like that and Rush, like you said, those two were huge.
Yeah. I mean, Crazy Taxi kind of counts, but that's a little bit different.
I feel like at that point, though, like arcades were dead. So it's like most people experience Crazy Taxi on Dreamcast or PlayStation 2 and then maybe saw it in an arcade. But yeah, if you could find a Crazy Taxi arcade, I think we had one at the old Pirates Den in Fargo here. So
yeah, we had one at our local one.
Yeah. There was also
just screaming out Offspring all day long.
Yep. I think we also had a Zombie Revenge arcade cabinet here, which is great. Love that game. I was too busy playing Metal Slug whatever on the Neo Geo cab, but it's just me.
I played a lot of the Hydro Thunder because I liked the way that felt on my body.
Why can't you stand up after losing the game, Andy? No reason. It's not the haptic feedback and vibration, Mom. That's That's why the coin slots are always so sticky on that one.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah. I forget that was a big game, too. Yeah.
Never want to return a quarter. Nah, just keep it. I'm not going to push the button.
So speaking of that, arcade. So I went to the old Pizza Ranch. So for people who aren't familiar, Pizza Ranch is a mostly Midwest chain of like pizza places that turned into like pizza buffet places because nobody does that anymore.
Which have now turned into fun zones.
And then they're like, hey, there's a global pandemic where people aren't going out and touching things. What should we do to increase our business? I know. Let's add a Chuck E. Cheese type room to all of our restaurants. And then some guy's like, that's a good investment in 2020. And they did it. And now the one here has that. And it's a bunch
Is
of...
it good?
No, it's not good. It's a bunch of ticket machines. It's bullshit. They had the Jurassic Park light gun game, the sit down one, which is fun. And they had the 4-player.
See that everywhere, though.
Yeah, they had the 4-player TMNT like 3D game, the one that came out like a couple years ago, which is also fun. And everything else was like a ticket machine and bullshit and super disappointing. And there was like some VR machine with minions that I am not about to stick my face into after like a million.
No way,
kids.
especially at a pizza place with a whole bunch of kids.
Right,
that's pink eye ready to go.
Yeah, so. That was super disappointing and exactly what I expected. So there's that. I call that place Poop Your Pants for a reason, and adding an arcade doesn't change that.
You can just do it with more fun.
Yep. Yeah, it was a letdown. Well, we blew through topics. Is there anything we missed? Anything anybody needs to add? Games played, movies watched? Arcades dominated?
I finally watched the Ghostbusters movie.
The new one.
The new one, yeah.
And
it's all right.
Yeah, it's the first one, right? With more funny.
Mm-hmm.
And a character named Podcast because he makes podcasts. Yeah.
Yep. My because it was the first, my kids have not seen the young or the older ones.
Yeah.
So this was their first Ghostbusters, and I think it scared a couple of them, like it probably,
sure,
you know, like your first Ghostbusters should do.
Yeah.
But, you know, my daughter loved it. So
nice. I like it too. Like, I think they set out to do exactly what they wanted to do. And they hit on a lot of the same notes. Probably could have been 20 minutes shorter, but yeah, it was fine.
If they never make another one again, that.
Well, but they are, because they teased the sequel at the end of the first one. Or the new
I
one.
suppose. At the firehouse there. Yeah.
So, funny story, speaking of Ghostbusters, we had seen that. And then I bought the Blu-ray bundle that came out where it was like all 3 movies. So we decided we were going to go back and watch the original movies. we sat down and watched them last weekend. Stupid me, and probably because I watched Ghostbusters on syndication only ever and never rented it. Totally
I know exactly
forgot,
what you're going to talk about.
Didn't remember the ghost blowjob. Did not. And my wife's looking at me. I'm like, honey, like, I swear to God, I forgot that this is a thing. And my kids are like, what's happening? It's like, never mind, nothing. His pants are falling off. It's completely natural. I don't know why he likes it. This is disturbing. Why that it has to be in that movie, I do not understand. Ugh. But then, yeah, having watched that, minus the ghost blowjob, and trying not to explain that to my children, you do really realize, yeah, they just made that first movie again, but with more funny. And then Ghostbusters 2, so we watched that 2 days after. I think we watched that Monday night this week. And I don't know why that's like so hated on Metacritic. It isn't like thematically and like tone-wise that much different than the first movie. Like, it's a little derivative, but like, should it be hated? I don't know. It's fine.
No, I think most of the hate is more that they took the ghost blowjobs out and made it more kidified, you know?
Sure. Yeah. Nobody wants to see Rick Moranis trying to get it on. That's more ghost blowjobs here, please. Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was a much better movie than I ever remembered it being. And the first one was a lot more disturbing in that department than I ever. And again, I chalk it up to like, I don't know that I ever really saw it. I mean, I'm sure I did, but I definitely watched that on like syndication on like USA Network or something, you know? So like that definitely was not on my radar at all.
Oh, sure. I think that was the one that I saw first.
With the blowjob scene? One?
No, I saw the second one.
Okay, first. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's some weird plot holes in the second one that don't make sense. Like, why just spraying slime on the Statue of Liberty allows them to control it completely with a advantage joystick controller from the NES. That they don't explain that, but I don't know if they need to. I mean, the first movie had a giant Stay Puft Marshmallow guy, so.
Yeah, I mean, you need turbo at least to do that. So.
That's true. Yeah.
You couldn't just use a regular controller. Yeah.
Yeah. If it had an NES Max, it would have been all over.
Oh my gosh.
Well, so overall, your family enjoyed it. It was a hit.
Yep.
Ghostbusters Afterlife. Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty good. They did a little bit too much of you don't need to bring the Marshmallow Man just because.
But that was like the best product. Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, weird. How great was that product placement in Walmart? Like the Walmart, the Baskin Robbins, the Jiffy Puff, all of it. So much product in such little time. It was like a 3-minute commercial in the middle of your Hollywood blockbuster.
I had like a 5-minute conversation with my wife about that too, because it's like most of the time you make a script and you have settings and characters and speech and then you fit in the product placement. Yeah. But like this is just like we're just going to put a hole here in this and we can just make it a Walmart.
Yeah.
So we can sell it. It's
kind of like the production team was like, boss, we're about $2 million over budget. And we need to finish this film. Like, you're not getting any more money. And like some intern's like, I got it. I know what we can do. And then they called Walmart and then they just like added this 3-minute segment to the movie. And, it's like, it's hit you over the head stupid, but it's also enjoyable at the same time. And then there is like, there's not like the blowjob sequence, but there is like the awkward sequence of like those two like definitely going at it, Paul Rudd and the mom.
Oh yeah.
And them talking about it later. And then the one podcast is like, you guys got a little humpy. It's like, that's kind of territory I didn't need to go over with my kids too, but it's good. I liked it.
Yep.
Like I said, I think 20 minutes shorter, maybe take out the product placement. And also, isn't it weird too that like that movie takes place in a universe where the Ghostbusters most definitely happened and was widely publicized and then it's not believed? I guess it's a lot like what happened in the last like presidency where it doesn't matter what historically happened. It's whatever people believe at the time that's on TV. So I guess I can kind of see it, but like, it's weird, right? Like they're just kind of like, no, it didn't happen.
Right. And it's like they're uncovering it as if nobody's ever discovered that the Ghostbusters were a thing.
Ghostbusters? What are you talking about? They saved New York? That certainly wasn't documented or is on YouTube videos that everyone can watch on YouTube. That's weird. I don't know. Yeah, I'm actually kind of hoping they make another one, and the kids are the stars, and all that stuff. We'll see. Maybe Rick Moranis can come back.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know if all of them are gonna come back again, right?
Rick might, because I heard he's coming out of retirement finally. So there's that.
Yep.
Yeah. Well. With that, is it a podcast? Does Biff need to take us out?
Take you out. I'll even pay for it. I have no idea what that even means, but I said it.
Well, you took me out and paid for it the other week, so.
Yeah. Sushi. Delicious.
Yep.
And then you cheated on me and took your wife.
Yeah. I'm a real bastard.
So if you guys have any hate mail you'd like to send to Ryan, you can.
Just me? What?
You
Or
can do
anybody?
that.
It doesn't have to be just me.
No, just specifically.
Okay. Yeah.
weekendrentalpodcast@gmail.com. Send us a list of maybe your top 10 video game movies. Are we close? Are we not close? Let us know. We'd love to hear from you. Make sure you're following us on all of our social media, on Twitter, Facebook, all of those places. You can find Weekend Rental or all things Weekend Rental at weekendpodcast.com. As always, friends, be kind. Rewind.
Awkward. Baba's Biff.
Bananas.